And we are live. My name is Terry Thompson. I am the host of I am the host of Unbreakable Stories. You see, it's Choose Your Adventure night tonight, and I almost chose a different adventure, but yes, I am the host of Believe Nation and Unbreakable Stories. So my name is Terry Thompson. I'm the host of Unbreakable Stories. Let's get the adventure right tonight, along with my co-host here, Bonnie. Bonnie, how you doing tonight, man?
That was a great save, by the way.
It was a good save, right? Very resilient, very good bounce back on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm good. I was took a little kind of sort of half eyes open nap right before we hopped on here, right after eating dinner. I'm good. I feel good. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Every day is Monday, and today is a very extra special Monday. So we're gonna have a friend join us here tonight, and we're going to dive into a couple of different things. But I'm excited about the topic. So this month's topic is all about adventure. So Evan Carmichael challenged movement makers to create a 10-minute video and 3 collaboration videos with fellow movement makers over the topic of adventure. And that's what we're going to talk about here tonight is adventure. And before we kind of dive into that, man, I just really want to know, what is adventure to you? Bonnie, what is adventure? Like, I know how I grew up with adventure, but what does adventure mean to you?
Wow. I'm gonna be honest, and I'm sure you could probably, or me, will probably agree with this, but like every week here in this house is an adventure. There's not necessarily a choose your own adventure. There's a lot of I didn't choose that adventuring going on around here. But when you have lots of kids and little boys and very energetic little guys who are not so little anymore, it's constantly an adventure. Um, that's a great question. I think it's having a sense of freedom and um, you know, taking off and doing something that's not so structured and planned would be a venture. You can see I'm really hashing this out kind of real time, right? Um, that if I think back to adventure as kids, um, that was probably the last time I was maybe purposely adventurous, if you
Mhm.
will, or adventurous at all. The last thing I remember doing that was super adventurous was when I was before I actually knew I was pregnant with my oldest kid.
Mhm.
And I got up on an old, rusty, abandoned train bridge to take some pictures with this 35 millimeter camera I had. Thought the train bridge was abandoned. Hear the train whistle, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's because there's like a bajillion trains where we're at. And then it was an oh moment, and I'm like, book the word booking. Remember the word booking? Like as fast as I could across the train bridge, and then like hit the dirt just as the
Mhm.
train was coming. And I think that right there was like enough adventure for the rest of my lifetime because it was terrifying and exhilarating kind of all at once. Um, so
So
I just
do you no longer consider yourself an adventurous person?
I don't. I'm not gonna say that. Not in that sense. Though saying yes to a pitch competition TV show when you feel like you have no business being on there, I guess would actually be another type of a adventure. It's embarking on something you really don't know what the outcome is.
Hmm.
I'm curious. I'm gonna have to look up what the actual definition of adventure is. I'm sure you probably have it right in front of you in that giant screen, don't you?
Not at all. so
I'm
so
gonna look
here's
it
the
up.
thing. So for me, I grew up doing a lot of different things when it comes to I'm going to be truthful with you. I'm not very adventurous either. I'm really not. And I'm not really curious either. I'm intentional about a lot of the things that I do. I'm very intentional about all the things that I do. So piquing my adventurous side or my curiosity side, oftentimes it gets left unchecked because I'm just not very curious. I'm just not very adventurous. But I know how valuable it is. So I remember when I was growing up, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid. And you had
Okay.
to be adventurous in order to do Dungeons and Dragons because you had the books, you had the dice, you had the storyline. But where would it go? You could really kind of build your own story, create your own story, roll the dice, and do all these different crazy things with it. And then I used to read these books when I was younger as well, too, the choose your own adventure stories. And
Same.
that I loved those things because you would get to a certain point and it would be like, choose option, choose this option and go to page whatever and go here. Choose this option and go to page whatever. And that, and then that will take you on a different adventure. So for me, I really enjoyed those things. Now, as I got older, I started I traveled my entire life. So my life has been one great big adventure because I've never really had one place that I could call home. I'm still looking for that place. It's like, where's home? I don't know where home is. It's like wherever I lay my head, that's home for me. And
Yeah.
right now it's where it is. But growing up in a military family, I was always the new guy. I had an adventure everywhere that I went. I didn't know who I was going to meet. Who are my friends? What's the school like? Am I going to be the nerd or the goofy guy, or am I going to be an all-star, whatever the case may be? So everywhere that I went, there I was. But what's the adventure? I had to learn to kind of create my own adventures wherever I was. And and that built some resilience, that built some different things. And we're going to dive into that a little bit here soon, because we do have a special guest that's going to come on here tonight, and I see that he is backstage. Huge shout out to Johnny. We're going to bring him up here very soon. He is a part of the Braid team and Braid family, and we are going to get his thoughts on adventure and how Braid can kind of play into that adventure side to anybody who's interested as well too. But man, when I was growing up, it was really all about, it really was adventure, because I never really knew what to expect. Growing up in a military family, it was like, here we are. Well, what's all about this place? What's cool? What's not cool? I had to kind of be adventurous when I was younger. Otherwise, I'd be stuck in my bedroom, no friends, nothing to do. So really, a lot of that happened for me traveling. And I truly believe that if you want to really be adventurous, go travel, go do something, go try new things, eat new food, experience new places, new things. So when I think of adventure, I think of all of that. Do you have any additional thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I actually looked it up because that's kind of like this thing that I've been doing the last couple of years. And it says an unusual and exciting, typically hazardous experience or activity, which is where my brain automatically went, which is why I
Mhm.
used the train example. Um, and then there's another engaged in hazardous and exciting activity. And then another one is put something, especially money or one's life, at risk. And that's kind of where my
Mhm.
brain, I think a lot of us as adults, after we get enough bumps and bruises and broken bones and do enough dumb crap when we're kids, we take fewer and fewer risks, right?
Yeah.
But there's also that the risk feels higher the older you get, depending on the situation and your circumstances and what we're talking about being risky with. Some people are very adventurous with their financial endeavors, right? They love to take
Mhm.
risks. They have a very high risk tolerance. Other people are very risk adverse and less adventurous, you could
Mm.
say. And so I really think um, I am adventurous in some ways, but definitely not the same way as I
Mhm.
was as a kid. Ask my mom, like I did all kinds of dumb crap and yeah. So was always getting hurt or busted up some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. No,
So
I love that. So we have a friend waiting backstage, and I want to go ahead and bring him on now, so that way we can hear his thoughts. Welcome to the show, Johnny. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I know I kind of let you know last minute that I can make it, but
Yeah.
I wanted to get involved and see what Terry's kind of world is all about, and that's the best part about it, right? Because we've been talking for probably a month now or so.
Yeah, about a month. And man, I love what you're doing over there at Braid, man. You guys are totally knocking it out of the park and creating an absolutely wonderful app. The potential of what you're creating is really, it's really untapped at this point. And I really truly believe that once more people get involved and get engaged with the Braid app, man, I'm telling you, you've got something going on there to where people can create their own adventure within the braid. And I love that, and it all starts with creating a simple title, creating a question or a curiosity thing, getting some people involved. And it's almost like what I was talking about earlier about creating your own adventure, creating your own story, creating your own braid. I love that, man. Johnny, man, tell us all about braid and the future of it.
So, media interviews, this we've reimagined how the media interview is conducted, right? So instead of a synchronous call, like this is a great live show, we're having a conversation, discussion based, of course. Terry's leading the way. Well, we can take the same approach from the create the content on your own time. So Braid is essentially a thread, a collaborative thread of individual posts that weave in through one another as a seamless conversation from the consumer and anybody who's in the digital audience. So via that TikTok friendly swiping and Instagram as well, as you swipe through, it's a piece of the conversation that maybe Terry has led the way with a challenging question that he's invited me onto as a guest, right? And two other individuals to have this conversation, to create the content together, but also being respectful of one of each other's time. But the most important thing is that you can actually like, share, and comment those individual posts on what we call a braid. So if you can picture a hair braid and how it weaves in through one another as a seamless conversation about whatever topic that you'd like and however you like to curate it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I love it, man, because that's exactly what I've done. I was thinking of like questions like what would be a great question that I can ask somebody to get their feedback or their engagement on. And that's truly the power of building something like that to where you can hear other people's thoughts and not only text, but video as well, too. And I think that when you ask great questions, you can get great engagement. And I think that once again, if you want better answers, ask better questions. And I truly believe that your app definitely presents an opportunity for people to ask questions, get really great feedback from influencers, people that have thoughts and opinions and perspectives on things. So that's kind of my initial take on it. I love what you're doing, man.
Yeah, it's the best line that we have is that it's you're creating short form content with long form value. That's the
Mm.
biggest thing, right? So Terry, you can make a post, do a little intro of the guest really quickly. I mean, that'll take maybe a minute or two of your time because maybe you do one take and you're like, well, I can word this better. I'll record again and I'll post it with my topic at hand. And then, of
Mhm.
course, as that braid is developing, I'll add to the thread. Obviously, Mike or Ida, who we know, can add to the thread of this conversation to be able to have this discussion, share ideas. Maybe it might bring up more questions that I might ask you, Terry, even though you're the lead. We're just kind of gaining each other's insights on different bits of information. Now we could also take it from a debate side too, right? So we want to make sure that we have this collaboration of conversation to be able to share out as digital content. But again, you don't have to be on the same call all at the same time. Let's just say 6 p.m. Central Standard Time here, but being able to create it on the fly as we go about our day. You're at the coffee shop, you're in your car, you're about to drive somewhere, of course, drop off the kids, pick them up. You can just kind of create it on the fly, and then you can receive ping notifications as guests or the host add to this collaborative braid.
Yeah, I love it, man. So I just shared the link right there within the chat. So anybody that's interested, I highly recommend it. I mean, I remember Ida recommended, that's a good friend of ours as well, too. She
Mm-hmm.
said, hey, man, this would be a great thing. Go check it out. So that's exactly what happened. She linked me up with Johnny here. I immediately hopped on a call on Instagram with Johnny, man. We talked for about an hour and really breaking things down. And I immediately saw the value. Just, when you see something that's extra special, it's one of those things like, ooh, I like that. I see that. I can see the value in it.
Awesome.
And I'm telling you right here, if you really want to have some powerful conversations and some power, once again, threaded conversations, asking those questions, creating ideas and sharing ideas. And I truly believe that powerful conversations can happen right here on this app right here. And Johnny, man, tell us how braid ties into adventure, because right now the word is adventure. And that's what we're talking about this month. And I truly believe that within braid, you can create an adventure that, who knows what's possible. So I think of it from an author perspective. Let's say, for example, that you have 2 or 3 authors that are collaborating on something. It's like, hey, here's an idea. Okay, well, here's my idea. Now you're building a story as you're going. elaborate a little bit more. How could braid tie into something like that?
So in our current stage of social media, it's presenting like what I do, what I can showcase in the world, right? But for those three authors to be able to connect, to share their thoughts and ideas and ask the questions about different perspectives, right? Now that becomes the most powerful thing, is that the three of us on this call right now will have a different perspective when it comes to a question or a topic, right? But we really don't know in text form, but it's better to have that kind of context to it so we can have that discussion, whether it's something that I feel indifferent about what you're saying, right, or I differ in my opinion. But again, it allows us the time to think about it, do one take, maybe delete it because you're like, well, I want to be a little bit more concise with that information, and then it'll kind of provoke a little bit more introspection on the
Mhm.
other person's behalf. And I think that's fun, it's exciting, because if we don't ask those questions, how do we get any kind of response?
Yeah, I love it. One of my big frameworks that I use is a framework called AEIOU, and I won't go into the entire framework, but it really comes down to access and engagement. So that's the A and the E part of it, access and engagement. And when you can gain access to people on an app like Braid right there, you can create engaging conversations, engaging debates, engaging, whatever, you're building your own story, you're weaving your own story, you're kind of creating that. And that's what I see the power in. So even like debates, and I know that there's a lot of, there's apps that are out there that really, really lends to debates very well. How do you see like powerful debates potentially happening on Braid?
Well, I mean, we are starting to get into we are in a political season, which is a very
Mhm.
powerful thing, right? So I just had Cleopatra Draper, who's running for alderwoman, the first alderwoman, by the way, for the Ninth Ward in the South Side Chicago. And that's a very big movement going on right now. But to be able to have general conversations about what their plans are as they're running for alderman, why they stand out as a candidate, right? So it's time for change. I mean, people want to push this narrative. They want to showcase themselves. They want to put that type of context out there. And that's the
Mhm.
biggest thing. And there's such a large push for visual content right now. But again, as we're coming out of the pandemic, it's the time to sit down to have this conversation. So if we can scale that by creating that content on your own time with that visual component, that's truly where I see the value of it.
Mhm. Yeah, I love it. Is there potential for any type of either live or some type of maybe a live event or scheduled events or some type of audio in the future?
Absolutely. So we are going to build a component in our roadmap where there's specifically just audio, right? So
Mm,
audio versions of kicking back and forth, kind of like a survey, question, answer,
mm,
elaboration, kind of repeat. So because again, we wanted to make it so simple to create content on the
mhm.
fly. But
Yeah, I love
absolutely.
that, especially surveys because that gives valuable feedback as well too, and it's
Mhm.
super simple to be able to create. We have another friend waiting backstage. I want to go ahead and bring him on up here. He's a part of the Unbreakable family. Alay,
Awesome.
welcome to the show, Alay. How you doing tonight, man?
Very nice. Nice to see you, Terry, Bonnie, and you guess what is your name again? I forgot.
My
I
name
forgot.
is Johnny. LA. Pleasure to meet
Johnny.
you.
Nice meeting you, Johnny. Excellent.
Awesome. Awesome. Bonnie, so while Johnny and I was talking, what are your questions about Braid and adventure? Do you have a question for Johnny here tonight while we have his time?
I just think it's a fabulous idea. You and I were talking a little bit about it, and as Terry was explaining to me kind of how it works, I'm a very visual person, and so I'm kind of like looking up, and I'm like, I'm listening to you, and I'm trying to visualize what this looks like, and that's what I said. I said it sounds to me a lot like story weaving, and so or like it also kind of reminds me of, and I know having the actual text on screen, you won't have the same issue. But I don't know if you remember when you were a kid and we played that grapevine game, like that's what we called it, I think. And you would whisper
Okay.
something into somebody's ear, and then that person repeats it. By the time they got to the end, usually it was misconstrued. I'm not expecting your app to be like that, but I was trying to get a visual of like how this kind of all works together.
Mhm.
But in the same way, you've got lots of different people collaborating to have an ultimate end result. I'm
I
really
want you
glad
guys
you.
to think small panel discussion, right? So the four of us, Terry posts a topic. He invites Elay, Bonnie, myself onto a braid. So he has this control over curating this story or this conversation about said topic, right? Current event, true crime topic, whatever they may be. He just wants to have us give our opinions, ask the questions. On average too, it's probably 8 to 12 clips per braid. So it's short form, right? With long form value. Because when you're consuming that content, I can give you some insight based on my professionalism or expertise, which I'm sure the three of you have plenty of, where if I just ask the question, like, tell me a story about your, the biggest thing that you ever overcome in your life. Okay, so everyone's kind of adding their take. They can add a 30-second clip, or they can add two 30-second clips to share a story. But that's powerful stuff. And Terry's seen some of the content on there. So I would love for everybody on this call to get a little bit of look inside, because again, visually, you're picturing something. And I want to make sure that's the exact same thing when you open up Braided.
Yeah,
And it is. I was just wondering, it is a standalone app basically for communication, or you see it as going parallel to, let's say, a live show, where sometimes we're looking for input where people are not on a live show but are willing to participate, but not necessarily being on the live chat, for example. How do you see that?
So as the posts are coming in, people the digital audience can follow the braid, right?
Okay.
So the four of us are on a braid. Terry's posted a topic. He's invited us as guests. We get ping notifications, of course. So Elay, you'll get a ping notification for that invite. And then you'll get another ping notification if you see that I've added to the braid that Terry's created. And then, you'll want to go check out what I said and what Terry said. And we're kind of having this fun back and forth, right? And then Terry, you're the curator because you're the host of the braid, right? Leading this panel of experts here. And then you'll tie it off at the end. So all of us have shareable content. You want to share something maybe insightful that I said, or maybe something powerful Bonnie had stated about her experience and expertise, right? Like, hey, our best line is join the discussion. So as a digital audience member, I can follow the four of us on this braid, and I'm going to get those notifications over time. So it doesn't have to be the same day. It could be 3 days where we're having this back and forth, because maybe our schedules aren't aligning. I mean, try to gather the four of us on a call. I mean, this is beautiful that it's actually happening, but it's also very difficult. Not the easiest thing in the world.
I understand. That's great.
Awesome.
Yep, it's a great app, great idea, actually.
Conceptually, it's very different. But again, we've only been live for about 5 weeks now.
Okay.
And we're focused on creator success, because parody is a powerful thing, right? I mean, TikTok was the same way. Instagram was the same way. Those things are evolving, of course. So if we have this format when Bonnie goes into braid and she sees the host, the guests, the collaboration, the conversation, well, she's going to test it out. Maybe she's going to invite some of the braid community on there, right? Or maybe I can assist with her. But she also might have friends that she wants to send invites to, where they, hey, I want to try this app out. I want to build more content. I want to scale the guests that I have conversations with, or I think this is an interesting topic, but I'm kind of loaded on the front end of creating content right now. But you can, again, build an arsenal of content to share out to the digital audience on your time, on your own time.
Awesome. And we have a question from one of our friends watching over on Facebook right now. How is this different from a Teams meeting with closed captioning?
So it's asynchronous. So asynchronous means the four of us don't have to meet at a specific time. Terry posts, I can post 2 hours later because I have to drive my kids to school. Bonnie posts another hour later. And over the few days or a day or two, right, Terry wants to get this content in. He wants to get some conversation going. So over the span of 2 to 3 days, let's just say we have 12 clips between the four of us. So everyone's posted 3 times. Extremely shareable content, right? But to a consumer, I flip through the 12 clips. It's a seamless conversation that weaves in to one another, and I can like on each one. I can comment on each post. They've all been built kind of over time, right? Respectfully, because we don't even have to schedule anything. Terry posts, all of a sudden, oh, by the way, I'm invited onto a braid. I'll get to it after I drop my kids off to school.
And from what you're saying, you must have like private braids and also public braids, so that to build a small community, for example, I don't know, a book club, for example, or a larger community for braid community, for example. Is that how you see your idea? So
right now, the format is kind of closed small panel, right? Because let's just say this thing scales to 100,000 users. We don't know all 100,000 people.
Yeah.
Right. So if Terry posts something and he really wants to get this story out there and conversation going, if he gets spammed by one of the 100,000 people on there, well, we've lost his trust, right? We want to make this such a valuable tool for Terry that he's going to want to create on it at least weekly.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that. Bonnie has a question. Go ahead.
I do, and I don't know if, well, this is kind of piggybacks on what LA was asking, because
Sure.
now I'm getting a good visual. Like I said, I'm not the tech person. Terry's heard me say this at least 1,000 times in the last year. I have to like have the thing to look at or play with. But to piggyback on LA asked you, once you've created the braid, say privately, is it then kind of released to the public, if you will, to look at and like and comment, but not contribute to? Or is that happening
So we're
simultaneously?
going to put in an option in the roadmap to allow, like, because maybe Terry wants to kind of finish up this braid, right? All these different
Right.
clips put together, and then we will build an option into it to be able to be publicly viewed, right?
Okay, but up until that point, it would just be, say, the four of us able to view and like
Yeah,
and
let's just
comment.
say it
Okay.
was like over the holidays, and I wanted to create something with my cousins, and it was like, what I wanted to show up on the home feed. I just want to create something fun where we're kind of just joking around with another and sharing drinks and all and having a good time. But most of the time, again, that's why we love Braid, is because, again, there's two options with it, right? It's a place of like a valuable tool, and then a place of discovery, right? Just like we saw with the first 100 creators on Instagram or on TikTok. It was just a place of, oh, people like to engage with whatever the content is, the context that I'm creating. That's a great question.
I love it. And one of the things that's really huge for me as a content creator is the ability to create once and distribute in multiple places. How is that an option for content creators using Braid?
So just give me an example of what you particularly like to do, Terry.
So one of the things that I like to do is, let's say, for example, I create something, a reel, for example, on Instagram. And I know some of the platforms really kind of look down on that. So let's say I pull out my phone and I say, man, I got this great idea for something. I'll either record it on my phone or I'll open up an app and I'll record something. Let's say Instagram Reels for simplicity's sake. I'm creating a reel. I got the music in the background. I got the reel looking the way that I want. Bam, there it is. I can download that now and I can distribute it onto YouTube Shorts, over on TikTok, over on Braid. So right now, that's what I've been doing on Braid. I've been posting content that I've created on other platforms, putting it over there because I got a ton of content. I got like thousands of things that I could just flood Braid with, like, you know, within the next month if I really wanted to. But I don't like the sweat equity of like creating all these different things across, you know, I don't want to create something for just TikTok. I don't want to create something just for Reels. I want to create once, but distribute everywhere.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's the power of Braid because of the collaborative nature, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you're posting to it, but we're on your Braid as your guest. We're adding to this, you know, short form with long form value piece of content, right? You're just kind of curating it. You're leading the way. The question, maybe pop in for an answer of a question that I had, but it's sharing that kind of discussive pattern that we don't really see in the current state because, again, normal social media is like, you know, I'm promoting myself, what I'm up to, what I'm doing, which is still great. But of course, now we have the ability to create this collaborative thread again, which is also a time saver. But for the curator, let's just say you, Terry, you're just seeing the ping notifications come in and curating the storyline of the dozen clips, sharing the story of us. Look at what we're doing. And that's a powerful thing.
Yeah. And then as far as optimization goes, because I know when I'm looking for content across all of the platforms, I want to be able to search for certain things. So how does Braid differentiate between the other apps in reference to searchability and finding content and conversations that resonate with you?
So we're going to start off with categories, right? I mean, it's not going to be able to have that specific algorithm until we start to grow quite a bit, you know, in the springtime and the summertime when we have a marketing push that we're looking heavily into. But from now, we're going to do categorically. Obviously, we can just break it down: business, motivation, you know, topical items, of course, sports, anything you can break down, right? True crime. But that kind of comes with time as you start to fill out the content. And what we've seen with 5 weeks with creators is that we have an assortment of content and conversations going on because there's never really any short of topics in the world that we currently live in and the way we consume media. But to be able to kind of pin it down exactly what we want to discuss, whether it was a motivational quote or maybe something that professionally the four of us want to talk about, right? From the like financial side, for example, based on our experience and working with clients. I mean, that's how we continue to build our algorithm, but we'll start off categorically to be able to kind of break down exactly what Terry would like to spend his time consuming these discussions and conversations on Braid.
I love that. Does anybody have any final questions here for Johnny tonight? Awesome. Johnny, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're busy and family time is important as well too. I just want to say thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for you and the Braid team reaching out to me. As a content creator, it's truly important. And I think that that's one of the things that's missing across a lot of the platforms is that human element to it. And one of the things that I love about what you guys are doing over as Braid is you make it feel human. You reached out to me. We connected. We were able to talk on a call real quick. I got you over here on this show as well too. And that's what I love about that. I truly believe that's what's missing within a lot of the platforms out there is that human to human connection that, here's a platform. We're going to reach out to the creators, support the creators. And I really believe that that's a lot of the platforms has done that, really kind of created the thing. Creators made the thing happen, and then they just forget about the creators. And I love that you guys are putting creators first because it truly is the creators that are building the platforms. And that's one of the things I want to commend you and the rest of the Braid team on is that you truly believe in the creators and you support the creators and what it is that we're doing out there. Man, I'm wishing you all the best and continued success. Is there anything else that you want to share here tonight before I let you go?
No, I think you hit it right on the head. One of our early messages before we even built the product, I mean, this time last year was when we were meeting with a lot of local Chicago creators was, what's the message that we want to share? Why are we having these meetings with creators? Where's the gray area? What's the biggest thing? What do we know about our current state of social media based on our concept and idea of reimagining these interviews? Well, the interview is just a group discussion, right? Whether it's between you and myself or this group here in particular, but how can we reimagine it so that it's not too foofy, but making sure that, again, we're having these connections and conversations. Again, that's a powerful thing, like you said. And that's all we want to make sure we have this space where you can be creative, but you can collaborate rather than just tag somebody, but have their insight as well to share their story, because that's what 2023 is all about. It's about depth. I think that's a big thing, right? And in order to have this depth, we talk about adventuring into something unknown, and we have a creative space for it. But again, we also want to be, again, a valuable tool as well as a place of discovery.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Johnny, thank you so much. If everything sounds exciting to everybody watching the live stream and the replay here, make sure you get connected over at braidit.com. I dropped the link right there within the chat and it's on the screen there, braidit.com. Get on over there, download this app, start creating some braids. Johnny, I want to share something with you, and I may have shared this with you before, and that's the 4 C's of content creation. Really,
okay.
It's all about consuming, creating, contributing, and collaborating. And whenever you have a platform that does all of the 4, I love it. And Braid does all of that. Braid gives you the ability to consume content from thought leaders around the world. It gives you the ability to create content so that you can contribute out there within the world, your knowledge, your skills, your experience, and then to be able to collaborate with other people in a Braid to build, grow, scale, develop thoughts, ideas, businesses, whatever it is that you want to create. Head on over to braidit.com, download the app, and make content happen. Johnny, thank you so much, man. Anything else before we let you go?
No, you can find it in the Apple and Google Play stores under Braid It, like hair braid, BRAID space it exclamation point. So it's the Braid It with exclamation point app in both Apple and Google Play. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram under Johnny, JOHNNY, Braid, BRAID. And you can DM me. I'm very active on Instagram, of course, DMs, just to be able to connect with people and kind of walk through and spend some time with you navigating the app if you need assistance. And that's how Terry and I met. So I appreciate your time. Pleasure meeting you, Bonnie, Ulay. I hope to talk to you guys again. And Terry, thank you so much. Okay. Happy Friday, all.
Nice meeting you.
Awesome, Johnny. Thank you so much, man.
Bye.
We'll talk to you soon. Awesome. That was Johnny right there. He's a part of the Braid It team right there over at braidit.com. Truly phenomenal app, man. Get over there, download that app, and make some content happen. So let's go ahead and continue on with our show here tonight. We're talking about adventure. That was an adventure, wasn't it? What do y'all think?
You cannot do better than that. It's like, and it's a starting adventure too, and we don't know where it's gonna go. And that's I think what is an adventure.
Yeah, I love it. Alay, so Bonnie and I has already been kind of chatting about adventure. What are your thoughts about adventure?
Well, I was taking some notes earlier before I joined the show, and I think that when I think of adventure, it's an event. It can be anything because I'm curious as well. When you're making decisions based on what you think would be best, and you don't know the outcome yet, and I think that is always the most exciting adventures. Now, it could be in a restaurant. You choose a restaurant. You don't know you may not know the menu. Something you eat. You may go to a new city. You may try a new software or a new app. So you have an idea, you go out of your comfort zone, but at the end, the outcome is a place where you can learn. That's always the best thing.
I love that you threw food in there because that made me hungry, actually. But check this out. Have you ever been to a restaurant where it's like an adventurous menu? There's no menu. You just go there, you make a reservation, you know you're going to pay like $1,000 to eat or whatever, and you don't know what the menu is going to be. It's just you show up. The chef is going to cook whatever, they bring it out in like 7 courses or whatever the case would be, and it's an experience. Have either of you participated in something like that?
My first thought was like, that's a thing.
That
So
is
no.
yes.
I remember when I was a geologist in northern Quebec, there was a town where there was a chef, and the chef was cooking 30 plates. So it was, people would go for 30 people, and it was booked months in advance. So we had to book it, and you did not know what you would eat because whatever the chef felt like doing that day was what you would eat. And his idea was, it's giving a chance to people to try new things, for him to experiment with food. So most of the time he did not know the outcome of it, and it was a new adventure for us. So it's always something fun, but you had to reserve sometimes months ahead of time. So that was exciting.
Mm-hmm. I love that, man. Yes, that is a thing.
Yeah.
I've never experienced it, but I've seen it. You know, I've seen it on some shows, like what Alay was saying. It's like whatever the chef feels like cooking that day. There it is. Like, what is the local ingredients? That could be an adventurous because, you know, the thing is that when I go to a restaurant, I pretty much already know what I want to eat. But when you go there and you have no idea what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, what's it going to smell like are they going to have rockets flying out of the meat or something? I don't know, man. It's like one of those things to where you really know what to expect. So I think that would be fantastic. Like if there was more restaurants that were like publicly known like that, to where it was like an adventurous type of a restaurant. And I don't know.
Something that is fun. I remember a few years back, I invited friends to a Thai restaurant, but I knew that in the restaurant there was the English version of the menu, but also the Thai version of the menu. So I told the person coming in, okay, just give us the menu that is not in English. So people all sat and they all had menus written in a language they did not understand. And we all ordered something, and we did not know what to expect, but it was exciting to see the food coming in. So it's an adventure that way.
I love it. And we have a friend backstage. We're going to go ahead and bring him on up here. Another member of the Unbreakable family. Welcome to the show, Peter. How you doing, man?
Hello. Yes, everyone.
Hello, Peter.
Great. Hello.
Nice.
Awesome, man. And Alay, I know you ordered another shirt. I saw that. Bonnie talked about it as well too.
I know.
And I was like, you ordered a shirt? I didn't realize it. And then until Bonnie told me, I was like, because we got to get a shirt on you again, man.
I know it's somewhere in the house, and I looked
see.
everywhere, so I figured I'd get a new one. That's just the simplest idea.
And by the way, I posted your Unbreakable story today, so it's now out on YouTube, and I sent you the link to it.
Okay, I'll have a look.
So your Unbreakable story is live. So check your Instagram DM. I sent you the link to the video on your Instagram.
Okay, I'll have a look. Oh, that's exciting. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. And we also have Lady Lexi up here. I'm going to go ahead and bring her in onto the stream as well too. We're going to have a great conversation about
Lady Lexi.
adventure.
Hello.
Lexi, welcome to the show.
Hi there. Would you be able to get me back off again, and then I'll tap in again because I can't hear you. I can only hear you.
Oh, there you go.
There's your answer.
An adventure in itself.
I'm quick to please. So, Peter, while we're
Yep.
sorting out some technical difficulties, Peter, welcome to the show, man. What are your thoughts about adventure? Because it's your word for the month, so yeah, I know you have some thoughts.
Yes, I have a lot of what I like to share. First of all, for me, the adventure is we need to move beyond our comfort zone. The first thing. So we know that life is full of adventure, full of the thing that to discover. But first of all, we need to move beyond our comfort zone. Then for the comfort zone, we had the fear zone. We might fear the thing that we want to discover. Then from the fear zone, we go to the learning zone. Then we learn the new thing, and then we continue to discover. Then the last one is the grow zone. Then we can grow our life to meet more person and then to learn more new things. So this is from the comfort zone, fear zone, learning zone, and the grow zone. Yeah.
I love that. And you got to be able to be adventurous enough to go into the different types of zones, because if you're afraid to go into the fear zone, you might never really fully understand what adventure lies on the other side of fear, because fear is that first emotion activating resistance. And a lot of people will never go into the fear zone because they're afraid of it. I was in the military for 24 years, and people often ask me, how can you run into fire in combat? You know what I'm saying? Whenever you could get shot, you could get killed. How do you run into that crap? Well, look, I'm here to tell you that you're going to do whatever it is that you're conditioned to do. Whatever you're trained to do, you will do. It didn't bother me. I was like, okay, I could, get shot. I could lose my life. I could get blown up into all kinds of tiny bits or whatever the case may be. But that first emotion activating resistance will prevent you from being adventurous. Not to say that getting shot at is an adventure, but it could be. It's one of those things to where, I've been in those situations where gunfire's happening all over the place, and I'm sitting here looking at red dots flying across. I'm like, that looks pretty freaking cool, kind of a thing. I didn't think anything of it. I'm watching rockets just blow up here. It's not a very adventurous moment. But look, here's the thing. If you will do what you're trained to do, what you're conditioned to do. And if you're trained to go to just not think, but do, you will become more adventurous. And I think that people that hold themselves back from being more adventurous, like walking down a dark alley at night, going to a new town, driving. I struggled with that for years. I hated driving to new places because I was always scared. I don't know where I'm going. I'm going to get lost. And my adventurous side really was stuck in that fear zone because I was afraid of getting lost. What are some additional thoughts on that? Especially that fear zone, man, that could hold people back tremendously from being adventurous. What is the panel's thoughts here tonight?
I wanted to add to your story about not knowing where you're going if you're in a car. I had a friend who hated when I was driving without a GPS. Now we have a Google Map and so on. And he couldn't understand I was just driving, knowing that it was more or less in that direction. I'll get there eventually. And the person was always freaking out because of that. I'd like to add something that that Peter mentioned about the comfort zone, and to piggyback on what you mentioned, Terry. A comfort zone is something that you can expand, but also when you can get the training you need so that you can assess when you're outside of the comfort zone. You can build confidence on your ability to deal with that. So you mentioned about your experiences in the army. In the school, for example, we do fire drills, for example. So knowing that if something happens, you get the training so that you can expand your comfort zone, so that for some it's uncomfortable, but for others it's not. And it's always important for me, safety is important, but you can always try to assess the situation. Okay, given that I'm going out of my comfort zone, let's assess what's the worst case scenario. I do that with my students. Sometimes they have to do a presentation and they are stressed, they're uncomfortable, or they have to speak in French. It's a bit tricky for them. And I say, okay, what's the worst case scenario? Well, I will not be able to say my idea properly. But I tell them, would you be able to do it again? They said, yes. Okay. So the worst case scenario is that you'll have to do it again. And then it just takes away the edge of being fearful facing something, saying, okay, the worst case scenario is not that bad. Let's see how far I can push that. So
I love that. Peter, anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I totally agree. Just how Eric mentioned that to we need to have the situation, and then we need to take the action. For example, same as me as well, my student, then they need to speak Japanese, then they keep trying, and then they can have the more confident and can move beyond their comfort zone.
I love that. So we're going to go ahead and try to bring Lexi on up here again and see if we got the technical issues sorted out. Lexi, welcome to the show. Did we get everything sorted out?
Yeah, I just went back to normal.
Excellent.
So you're normal? I thought you were
I'm
abnormal.
never normal.
You're never normal.
I'm never normal. But let's
I love
say one step to the usual.
I was going to say, Lexi, I know that you're not normal.
Yeah, that's why one of my favorite songs is "We Are the Others."
I love that. So what are your thoughts here tonight, Lexi? We've had a truly phenomenal conversation about adventure. What are your thoughts? Because you're really adventurous. I know you go out and you do a lot of things, man. I'm definitely interested in what you have to say about adventure.
Well, apart that Adventureland and Frontierland are my favorite parts of Disneyland, which includes, of course, Pirates of the Caribbean. When I first thought about adventures, I was like, yeah, if we see challenges not as a challenge, but as an adventure, that makes all the difference. Because adventures are nice and they might be scary, but in the end, you find your chest, your treasure chest. You find and explore, and there are so many new things and new input. So yeah, that was my first thing when I was thinking about adventure. And yeah, I do like a good adventure. That's so true.
So what's the greatest adventure you've went on here recently?
My greatest adventure for me was going to Chicago without any crutches, without backup as far as I was concerned, not knowing if I could walk over there, trying out all the buses and the L trains and just moving around. That was basically my biggest adventure. My not so big adventure, which is on number 2, but I haven't completed that one, is the adventure when it comes to technical stuff, like with microphones.
I love that. So same question. Well, actually, I got kind of an opposite end question of that. What is an adventure that you have not? And I want to ask everybody on this one, because this is a great question. What is an adventure that you've yet to have? And what is holding you back from going on that adventure?
Yeah, for me,
I guess.
Yep.
Oh, you want to go first, Peter?
Yeah, let's go ahead and go over to Peter first then.
Yeah, for me, of course, would like to travel let's say travel different countries. So far, I just travel Japan and then the Asian country. So the Western yet have the chance to travel yet. So if I had chance, I would like to travel to Western, then to discover more different culture, different the trend, the food as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
And which one? Which country specifically, Peter?
Yeah. Of course, the first is US. Yeah. So I just mentioned I had a chance to go to US, but certain reason can't make it for this year. So maybe next year, yeah, visit you all.
Awesome. Lexi, over to you.
Well, I've been to the US a couple of times now, and I love it over there. And one of the things I really would like to do is get myself a piece of property over there, build a tiny house or 2, I don't know, and then expand it later on. And I did actually reach out to some people, and then of course it's not the right market, and you cannot do this, that, and the other. And I said, well, I need you, so I know I won't be scammed. And then it stopped again. So I did start on the adventure, but I never took more steps. So probably I need to go there and figure it out myself when on the spot. But that's one of the things I really would like to do, because especially in the warmer climates, I'm not talking about Chicago, but more along the lines of California or Florida. That's basically good weather, which is very healthy weather for me. And I also love the vibe, both in California and in Florida. So And it would be also the start of setting up this park where people can go to, they can experience stuff. I can record things, and well, we talked about it, Terry, so you know what I'm talking about. But if I would be able to act on that adventure and make it as big as I want it to be, then a lot of people would benefit from it, from the adolescents and people in their 20s who learn that it's okay the way they are, as in hashtag inclusion, and help them get into the working life, although they may suffer from a form of autism or whatever it is. Helping out the little ones who won't be around on this earth for very long, but still can leave a legacy and help their family work through it, right up till getting business owners to understand, like, hey, communication is actually very important, and let's communicate a little bit better with our staff so we can focus on what we want to do instead of what we believe we need to do, because we don't like communicating with our staff. And of course, the letter is a very condensed version of what I actually want to say. But having a self-sufficient park, multiple ones all over the world, that would be the greatest adventure to not only just start but to achieve.
I love that. Alay, what are your thoughts?
Well, one adventure I'd like to do is an adventure that Bunny talked about earlier this year, last year, when she had the mastermind. I don't know if you remember, Bunny. You gathered a few people. I don't remember how many people you said you had, but that sounded excited for me. So eventually, I'd like to do something like this. I'd like to, maybe at the end of the summer. I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but it's an adventure that I've seen one of you do, and I think that's something I'd like to try because I've never tried that. And I think it would be outside of my comfort zone. I don't know the outcome, so it's a perfect adventure for me.
I love it. Alay, thanks for sharing. Bonnie, over to you.
Yeah, I think you were, I lose my voice again. I think you were referring to the challenge that I did. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the challenge. That's correct. I know you had several people for a few days, I think.
Yeah, no, and I can definitely help you with that. I don't know how this is going to come off, but I'm just going to say it anyways. I literally made a decision and built the plan as I was flying it. I didn't know if anybody was going to show up, and I spent so much time building my long form program, and had we'll call it a floppy launch, that when I decided to do the challenge, I was like, well, let me see how many people are going to show up first. Let me figure this out. Like, because if nobody showed up, like, I wasn't going to create a ton of content. And so I really did kind of create it on the go. So it's possible. And I'm happy to help you with that process, because it also forced me to simplify how I ran the challenge. Because I only had 2 days from the day that I announced it till the day that I 3 days. So I started something like that. I had the bones and an outline. I knew what I wanted to teach, and I had my expertise, but I didn't have any kind of content created for that until
I see.
People were saying yes, and I was like, oh, I got to make content. So, anyways, thank you, and I'm happy to help.
Okay.
Don't let it feel so as more overwhelming than it needs to be. Is where I was going with that. Because Terry again knows how much tech is not my favorite thing to work with.
Oh, I see.
As I'm listening to everybody speak, I was like, I'm pretty comfy. I'm be honest. When the pandemic happened, I almost breathed a sigh of relief, not because of all of the bad parts, obviously. It was like, I don't have to go anywhere. I can stay home. Like, there was all these different thoughts to me about keeping my family home and safe. And when I heard that, like, I knew it was coming, and I heard that things were closing, I felt a sense of relief that I didn't have to send my family out there in all of the unknown. And so I've very much been, I kind of bounce between super comfy homebody and or out there, driving several states away to go meet a stranger to sign a book. So that would be Gary V, on a whim. And so I'm not one that really plans that kind of stuff. It's more or less something, I guess the adventure for me is when an opportunity presents itself and I say yes without even thinking about what it entails. I've done that a lot the last few years. I did that with David's show. I did that with, my partner over at Gratuity. I did that with you, Terry. I didn't know who the heck you were when you're like, I'm going to rebuild Unbreakable. I was like, all right. In the back of my mind, I was like, what's the worst that could happen? I was like, he likes doing all the stuff I don't like to do. All right, let's see where this goes. And a lot of people would see that as adventurous. I think for me, what people are seeing is the result of a lot of introspection on my part, a lot of spiritual development, a lot of personal development, and a lot of what is the worst that could happen kind of thinking. Is like, I know I'm being supported, whether this turns out how I think it should or not. And so that looks adventurous on the outside, where to me it's kind of like, oh, well, we're gonna. You heard the conversation last night, Terry. It was like, well, that was completely unexpected. Next, I'm gonna walk in the other room and finish this conversation. I'll come back to that. Like, so yeah, I don't think I plan my ventures. Maybe that's weird. Maybe I will at some point in the future when my kids aren't so little. Travel sounds cool, but I'm happy also I love when I open my laptop. I don't know if anybody else has this. I haven't turned it off. And it shows me a new landscape from somewhere across the world that I may never see in person. And so I click the little button that says I like what I see. So they'll show me more of that every time I open my laptop. It's like this gorgeous picture. So that's
I love that. We have another friend waiting backstage. I'm going to go ahead and bring him up here now. I want to hear his thoughts about adventure as well too. So welcome to the show, Khalil. How you doing, man?
Hello, Khalil.
Uh-oh.
Thank you, Terry, for the
There we go.
opportunity.
Hey.
So it's amazing. I just joined you guys. Just want to say hello, and you have no idea how much I appreciate you and opening up this room and just giving you guys time here, and being out there. First time I see you, and I met you was in Clubhouse, and then I heard your story, and man, it's such an inspiration. And I'll tell you one thing: just every time you have the room, I just try to sneak in a little bit, listen a little bit, but I get distracted all the time. But I'm learning. So I'm sitting here backstage listening to you. So I came here to support and listen and hear and learn more. So
I love it. Khalil, thank you so much for your support as well too. So Khalil, we connected over on Clubhouse and Unbreakable Stories Club over there. And then, and Khalil and I, we've done a couple of live streams on Instagram together, and man, you're a truly phenomenal person when it comes to, thought leadership and the things that you do within your world. And I'm truly interested in hearing your thoughts on adventure, because I believe being a car salesman, you have to be able to tell a story and be adventurous with what you do. Imagine how your family is going to feel when you're driving this brand new vehicle across country to go visit grandma. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that maybe you haven't told those types of stories, or maybe you have, I don't know. But how does adventure tie into selling cars, and how would you use adventure to sell more cars?
I'm going to take this conversation another route. So probably people think about selling cars is like, hey, this guy with the black glasses, somebody who's high the numbers, people are gonna get you all the time. So that's what people think, right? But I tell you one thing. The first car that I bought, probably most people are in this room, they think, but the first experience when they bought a vehicle and how that person either make them feel so good or make them feel just a little. So, and I'm the guy who felt so little when he bought the first car. And I don't want to have anybody to have that experience right there. And in fact, I'm reading a book, me and my wife, we read books together. There's a book that's called The Mastery of Love. I don't know if anybody heard about this car. This car. You see, everything is in my head, is cars. So this book here is just amazing. So because we all love each other in a way or the other, because if you don't do what you love and you don't transfer that energy of love, because all of it is that way. I love what I do. I love you guys unconditionally, because I see you, I hear your voices all the time in Clubhouse, and I'm learning from you. But at the same time, the person that they have in front of me is all transfer of energy, and I transfer the energy that I have in there and the love that I have for that person, and that's to try to help them as much as I can to serve them and deliver what they're here for. So
Yeah.
my touch is all the time, I'm here to serve you, just service attitude. That's all.
I love that.
That's my goal.
And you know, selling and buying is really it's emotional, and it's one of those things that if you can create an emotion within this particular situation, you're going to win every single time. You know, you don't really have to tell a big adventurous story of like, you know, like I tried to do, like imagine driving all the way to grandma's house, you know, how you're going to feel on this, you know, because for me, I test drive every car. And I'll never forget the first car that I bought with my wife. So I've been with my wife for 28 years. Here in about 3 weeks, it'll be our anniversary. We've been married for 26 years here towards the end of this month. And I will never forget the first car that we ever bought together. It was we were both 26 or 27 years old. And the guy that we bought the car from was 17 years old, new salesperson, this, that, and the other. And I really left the place not only with a used car, so it was a used car, but I left there feeling like he did us a favor. I truly did. I really felt like he did us a favor instead of, you know, it wasn't an emotion. It wasn't a feeling. It wasn't, oh, I'm glad that I got the car. I really had kind of this feeling of like, I really feel like he just did us a favor kind of a thing. And it's one of those things that, man, we took that car on a lot of adventures, a lot of rides, a lot of different things. So I love it, man. You know, a vehicle is one of those things that can take people many places that they never thought possible. And that's the power of a vehicle. So as you're selling a vehicle, you're not really just selling a car, you're selling a destination. You're selling an adventure, you're selling a journey, you're selling an emotion, you're selling possibilities, opportunities, all the above. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if I could be a good car salesman or not, but it's one of those things that I would definitely be an effective communicator in that aspect. And Khalil, I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you're doing. We're actually about ready to end the stream here very shortly, but I do want to go around the horn for final thoughts here tonight. So what we'll do is we'll start with Khalil, work our way, Lexi, Peter, Alay, Bonnie, and myself. Final thoughts here tonight. Anything that you want to share, the stage is yours. Khalil.
Thank you for putting me in the spot. So, I tell you, just to add what do you have here, I'll take it. Got to jump here. So, one thing is I want to share is this: 2023 is here. Um, 2022 is behind us, either with the goods or the bads. But what it is, it's an opportunity to turn the page and start again, brand new. And it's 6 days out, 6 days in for the year. We can rewrite everything, and with everything that you put in this community here, and everybody here, and the help that you and the love that you pour into here, and the energy, you're gonna get better every day. So keep up the good work. Thank you, and I'm so blessed to be here. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Khalil, thank you so much for taking time to join us here today. Lexi, over to you. Final thoughts.
Well, I love going on a road trip and seeing that as an adventure. And soon I'll be driving, probably not just here in the Netherlands, but also across the borders again. I always find it a little exciting and always a little like, until, of course, when I do it, and then it's like, what did I worry about? But that's me. But that's probably an adventure too. And I love to do it with other people. So those are my road buddies. And yeah, there's nothing like seeing other environments, meeting other people, see how they live, how they think. So yeah, traveling absolutely is an adventure in that aspect, as in we get to expand our horizons.
I love that. Thank you so much, Lexi, for everything that you do and sharing your thoughts about adventure tonight. Peter, final thoughts about adventure tonight.
Yeah, so life is full of adventure, so we need to just take a step and discover the adventure and then to learn for it. Thank you. Back to you, Terry.
Awesome, Peter. Thank you so much for everything that you do. I just want to highlight once again, Peter is an absolute rock star. Over on Clubhouse, man, he's been helping moderate the Believe Nation Club and so much more, moderating the chat. He gives me the ability to multitask and do other things in a lot of ways, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes and everything. And I just want to point out, Peter, man, thank you so much for everything that you do. You're an absolute rock star over on Clubhouse, man. Awesome. Alay, over to you. Final thoughts about adventure tonight.
Okay, my final thought will be about the fact that every adventure starts with one idea, and being curious about the idea, and just follow it and see where it leads. Thank you.
I love that, Alay. Thank you so much for everything, and I can't wait to get that Unbreakable shirt back on you again, and have some videos with you and some collaborations, and maybe a podcast episode, because at Bonnie and I, we've been talking about how we're moving forward within 2023 and building that podcast out, building out some different things as well. Maybe a challenge coming up here again soon. So all the above, we'll see what happens. But Bonnie and I, we've had some great conversations about how we're going to have an adventurous 2023, but every day is an adventure over in Bonnie's house. I'm telling you, I've known Bonnie for a couple of years now, and not a day goes by that I have some beautiful ASMR adventure in the background going on. Bonnie, over to you. What are your thoughts about adventure? Final thoughts tonight.
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because I was sitting here thinking about, I was like, why am I not more adventurous? Why am I not? And I'm like, I don't need to seek adventure. Adventure finds me. Like, I can hide and adventure finds me. You see the boys that came in here again. And it's funny because I almost had like this, somebody else said the word foreshadowing. Maybe it was on another thing I was doing today. But I remember, so my kids have these teething necklaces. Okay. And that was obviously Jay's about to be 10 here in a few months. So he's had this for quite a while. Didn't wear it for a while. But I remember looking at the boys and saying, oh, it's so nice that they still have matching necklaces. What happened? He busted in here, and I guess they were horse playing, and it's broken. I mean, it's probably fixable. But that's exactly it. I'm sure you could see me like, thank God there's a mute button, because I'm like, get out of my, like, I'm live. Like, get out of here. What are you doing? Just get away. But you're right. It's I think I don't necessarily seek adventure, because I know there's constantly something out there looking for me. It's kind of creepy to say it that way. And once, like I said, I think another part of that is, I think when we have our own children and there's more at risk, right? That we seek our own safety a little bit more, so that we can be around for our kiddos and also set a good example. In that respect, I definitely don't need to show my boys how to be more adventurous. So with that, I'm going to pause the mic and wait for the next boom crash from downstairs.
Awesome, Bonnie. Thank you so much for everything that you do as well, too. It's been a wonderful adventure building out Unbreakable Stories and doing the things that we're doing, having powerful conversations, empowering others through the power of those stories as well, too. Every day is an adventure. It truly is. But what's next? What's the next adventure? And I think that if you're worried about the past, earlier Peter mentioned fear. If you're worried about the past, you're not going to be able to take action that will take you within the future, because you're going to be stuck. And you have to be able to step outside of that comfort zone in order to create an adventure. You have to be willing to accept the risk. Tonight we talked about risk as well, too. You have to be willing to accept the risk to understand that every adventure is risky. Every adventure, you don't know what the outcome is going to be, but with proper planning and proper preparation, you could go take your adventure. You see, I've never been much of an adventurous type of a guy myself either. It's one of those things to where, years ago, I hated driving. I didn't like driving. I 100% absolutely was scared to get in my car and go somewhere, because I wasn't very adventurous. I didn't want to go downtown. When I was in Germany, we could get on the Strasse cars over in Germany. I didn't want to get on the Strasse car and go downtown, because I didn't know what it was going to be like downtown. I was nervous. I was scared. I was like, I don't want to pique my curiosity or interest. I don't care what's down there. Kind of a thing. And I've always been kind of introverted. But over the years, I learned how to step outside of that comfort zone and really understand that life happens on the other side of the adventure. It truly does. It really does. Life happens on the other side of your comfort zone, but you have to be willing to step outside of it to see what the adventure is that's out there on the other side of that. And it's a scary thing, but you do hard things. We all do hard things. You see, I have a big, scary dream as well, too. Something that is very adventurous for me. I've yet to achieve it, but it's something that's always been kind of a thing that's on my mind. I would love to be in a movie. I would love to be an actor. It's something that, I would love to be a voiceover actor. I would love to be the voice of like all the big commercials that's out there. Those are those things that are adventures for me, because for me, I've been told very often that I do have a powerful voice. And I believe that. I do believe that I have a voice that can do different things. But for me, it's that power of the voice that really creates the adventure. It truly is. And it's the rise and fall in the pitch and tone of your voice, otherwise commonly known as inflection, that could take you on an adventurous journey. Imagine, if you will, a journey in a land far, far away. You see, you can take people on an adventure through the power of your voice. And that's one thing that I've really yet to do. Now, I've created audiobooks, I've done different things, but I haven't done commercials. I have not been on TV. And that's one of those things that I would love to do one of these days. I would love to step outside of my comfort zone and go be on a show, go be in a movie, go use my voice for bigger and better things, be on stage and be like, I'm the voice of like the main event on whatever the case may be. I would love to step outside and be that guy. I know I have the voice for it, but yet I haven't done it yet. I've been a keynote speaker, I've been an instructor, I've been all these great things, but it's that adventure of like the thing that reaches a bigger audience. That's what I've yet to achieve. And that right there would be a great adventure for me, because that would create the ability to travel, to tour, to do different things. Like I'll give an example. Like you see some of these great names and these great faces, they're everywhere. They're like on American Idol, they're on this show, they're on the New Year's Eve thing. Ryan Seacrest, for example, he's everywhere. You get people that are like that creates adventure because of their knowledge, because of their skills, because of their experience, their talents. And that is something that each and every single one of you watching this current stream and the replay afterwards, you have exactly what it takes to create an adventure that you never thought possible. But you have to be able to step outside of your comfort zone. You have to be able to step out into your fear, into the unknown, and understand that an adventure is on the other side of your ability to think it, first decide, then act, take the action, get the result, and understand that, if it's possible for all of these other people that is out there, it is possible for you. Before we go here tonight, Bonnie created this absolutely amazing printout right here. It's the I Am Unbreakable printout, and I'm going to show it up here on the screen for everybody to either take a screenshot or to share with the world. So I love Lexi's printout, by the way. She truly just took it up another notch with hers, adding some additional graphics on there. Lexi, I love you, man. That is a phenomenal graphic that you have right there. But this is, and Khalil, we got to get you one of these, but I'm going to tell you how to get one of these here very shortly. So if you go to unbreakablestories.com/share, you're going to be able to print this out right here. It's right there on unbreakablestories.com/share. If you go to that link right there, you can print this out and you can share it. Use the hashtag #MyUnbreakableStory, share it across social media, tag us, follow us, tag us, and then you will be able to show your support for the things that we are doing here at Unbreakable Stories. And you can share with the world that you too are unbreakable. Go to unbreakablestories.com/share, print that out, and you will be able to show your support to what we're doing. We would love to, show the world that you are unbreakable, man. Truly phenomenal show tonight. Khalil, Lexi, Peter, Alay, Bonnie, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. I just want to say I can't do the things that we're doing here without you guys. Have a great evening. Thank you for watching the show. We'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everybody.